Hi, and welcome to the Press Pass. I'm Dana Lee.
And I'm Drew Favica.
For those of you tuning in, we know it's finals week, and it's been rough. According to the school calendar, students did have a reading day on Saturday, which means you were definitely at the library studying and not at the men's basketball game, right?
Oh, definitely.
Right. So like I said, rough week, which is why we're here. We've got a great show coming up. We're talking Crossroads Classic, a new segment called Beyond the Arc, and Laval Jordan will be on set later today. So close that textbook because Josh Mullenix is previewing one of Indiana's most celebrated college basketball traditions happening this Saturday.
Butler men's basketball team will head to Bankers Life Fieldhouse to participate in the Crossroads Classic with IU, Notre Dame, and Purdue. Notre Dame, 6-3, losers of two straight, are led by TJ Gibbs, who's averaging 13 points per game. They'll be facing off against the 6-4 Purdue Boilermakers, who are led by Carson Edwards, who's averaging 25.5 points this season. Butler will face off against IU. IU is 8-2 and winners of three straight, led by 18 points per game from Romeo Langford, a projected lottery pick in the 2019 NBA draft. He will possibly be the best player that Butler sees all season. The Bulldogs, two straight wins over Brown in Northern Illinois. It'll be their first game with transfer from Duke Jordan Tucker. Coach Jordan says that the rest of the team is already familiar with Tucker's game.
They play against each other every day at practice. These guys they know they've learned Jordan's game, and he's learned kind of how we play and what we're looking for, and he's done a great job. I think he's had a really good last couple of weeks of just practicing. Obviously scout team stuff, but at the right pace and with the right intentions, and so we'll work that out. I don't worry about it as much because of the guys we have in the locker room.
After an offensive explosion against Northern Illinois, the Bulldogs look for a resume-building win against the Hoosiers as they start to wrap up non-conference play and move into the Big East. Reporting for the Press Pass, this is Josh Mullenix.
Thanks, Josh. So what really interests me about this matchup is the matchup between Romeo Langford and Jordan Tucker, two potential first-round picks in the coming draft. Right now, Romeo Langford's averaging 18 a game, and this is Jordan Tucker's first game, so obviously everyone's going to be looking at him and seeing what he can do.
It's going to be a good matchup for sure. I was able to chat with Jordan earlier this week, and here's a guy who's really bought into the look good, feel good, and play good mentality because for him, it's all about the shoes. We got an inside look into Jordan Tucker's shoe collection.
Hi, my name is Jordan Tucker. I'm a 6'7" guard, and I'm on the men's basketball team, and this is part of my shoe collection.
On this table, do you have a favorite pair?
Definitely these are my favorite. Look at them. It's a rainbow shoe. They look good. New, they look good. Old, they look good. Dirty. There's so much you can do with them. You can change the laces. You can actually take off this. You could take off this Nike patch right here and put like different stuff. You can put pins on here. They're just a fun shoe, you know. I would say these are like my lucky shoes. Like they put me in a good mood. They just have so much energy to them.
So more importantly, what are you going to be wearing Saturday?
Oh, I wish I had those with me.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I had those with me. One of my favorite players in the NBA is Paul George, so he came out with a Paul George PlayStation Edition sneaker. The tongue lights up on the shoe. Like, actually turns on and lights. It's like light up blue, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like this is my first game, it's my debut, so there's going to be this shoe to come out of.
So Jordan was actually nice enough to let us bring one of his shoes onto set today. This is a Converse collaboration with the designer Comme des Garçons. Really nice accents here, Drew. What are you thinking?
Well, I really like the design on the side with the googly eyes. That's something I would never think of to put on a shoe, but I really like the design a lot.
If you were ever wondering what a size 13 looks like in Converse, this is it. Now to women's basketball. They have the remainder of the week off until Monday when they host Indiana State. Our Chelsea Groves is live in Hinkle Fieldhouse with redshirt senior Whitney Jennings.
Thanks, guys. Whitney, you're 7-1 on the season. Well, first off, happy finals week.
Thank you. You too.
But yeah, 7-1 on the season. This team is full of experience. You, Tori, Michelle, dynamic on both ends of the floor. Do you like the flow of this team right now?
Oh yeah, of course. We feel really good about being 7-1. We're at a place where, people have a lot of confidence. People know their roles, so it feels good to, be going into our last 3 non-conference games and having that kind of, flow and mentality to the team.
I talked with Coach Godlewski a few weeks ago, and he really emphasized the basketball decision making and how this team has experience, and how last year you guys wouldn't have pulled out a win like Illinois State, a 2-point win a few weeks ago. What have they implemented this year?
I think a lot of it just comes down to, at the end of the games, having, upperclassmen on the court and having experience on the court, you're able to make some decisions during the games that, maybe in the past years would have resulted in some turnovers or whatnot. But having, that experience on the court has been able to translate into some good wins for us. And so we're looking to build upon that.
And next up, moving forward, Indiana State on Monday. Is this team focused and ready?
Yeah, Indiana State, we've had 2 games away from Hinkle, so we're excited to get back into Hinkle on Monday. And yesterday in practice, we were running through some of their sets and kind of preparing for them a little bit, starting to. And, they're probably, the best team we've seen so far besides Indiana. So, yeah, we'll be ready to go, know the scout, and hopefully get a win inside Hinkle on Monday.
Well, best of luck, Whitney. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. This week we're introducing a new segment called Beyond the Arc. There's 5 rounds of questions, and we have the contestants, Sam Pfeiffer, Josh Mullenix, and Olivia Frzop. They'll try to impress with their best answers, which will be rewarded by a point. All of this will be kept on our very high-tech whiteboard here. So, Josh, you can go first. The last time Butler played Indiana in the Crossroads Classic was 2 years ago, when Butler was ranked number 18 and beat Indiana, who was ranked number 9 at the time, by a score of 83-78. Both teams have hired new coaches since. So tell me, how do you guys see this Saturday shaking out?
First of all, thank you, Dana, so much for having us on the show. Let's get into Butler and IU. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a similar outcome to the upset of Butler over IU a couple years ago. I think it's going to come down to that I'm not sure there's somebody who's going to be in the game enough to guard Romeo Langford, IU's highly recruited freshman. It's probably Henry Badley, but Henry Badley's not going to get the minutes he probably needs to get in this game, which is going to, I think it's going to result in trouble for this Butler defense. On the other side of things, this is going to be a home game for IU. IU just trumps every other brand in the state of Indiana. Even though Butler's here in Indianapolis, where they'll be playing in Bankers Life Fieldhouse, it's going to be a home game for IU. IU's been good at home this year. It will be close, but I'm going to give the edge to the Hoosiers.
See, I'm going to have to disagree with Josh there. And as he said, let's dive into it. I think that Butler's going to pull ahead in this game. I really think that the offensive generation that Butler has is going to be huge in this game. So seeing Sean McDermott, Joey Brunk, and maybe even Paul Jorgensen really stepping up on the offense will really help out Butler to get that win over IU. Also on the defensive side, like Josh touched on, Henry Badley is a huge component in this game. If Henry gets those big minutes, I think he could help out a lot on defense, really helping to shut down Romeo and helping to shut down their offensive generation as well.
See, I'm going to have to agree with Josh. There's no way that this Butler team's going to win when the third highest assist is our center. I mean, the center, Nate Fowler's not really playing up to his potential. And with the guards that we have on our team, if they're not making assists like they need to be, there's definitely a problem. Also, our shooting is kind of on and off. You see Sean McDermott with really good numbers, but that kind of leaves the rest of the team with just kind of average numbers. And against an IU team that's not going to be able to work this week, and I just really think IU's going to pull away with this one.
Sam, you mentioned Butler's high-powered offense. They obviously did very well last game, but you failed to mention Kamar Baldwin, who has been struggling the past few games, adjusting to defenses, focusing on him more. Where do you see him in this matchup?
Well, Kamar is still averaging 17 points a game, which is still a great feat for him. I just think with the new team, he's kind of focusing on where he's going to fit into the system. Like I mentioned, we're seeing lots of Paul Jorgensen. We're seeing lots of other players putting up lots of numbers on the floor. So I just think that Kamar is really taking, teams really starting to figure out that Kamar is their main point scorer. So they're leaving other players more open, and Kamar's kind of finding them and feeding them the ball. taking the spotlight off of him and kind of giving it around to other players on the team.
But Kamar's not playing well on defense. I mean, he used to make steals all the time, and now he's just kind of being average. Like, what do you kind of say about that when he's just an average defensive player now?
Well, average defense is still good defense. I would much rather have average defense over subpar defense. I still think Kamar's a good defensive basketball player. I don't think he's living up to what he did last year or his freshman year, but I still think that he's a good defensive player, and you know, when you're average, there's still room to grow.
And he doesn't have to be the best defender on this team. Aaron Thompson is, and that's the biggest part of his role. Kamar doesn't have to guard the best guard on the other team anymore. Aaron's doing it, and Kamar looks bigger on the basketball floor, but Aaron's the taller player. He's the better defender. He doesn't have to be a great defender. If he's just playing average defense on the lesser of the two guards on the other side, I think that backcourt defensively does just fine.
Olivia, I'm giving you the point for this round. I like the point you brought up about Kamar Baldwin, because if you're Laval Jordan and your best player is playing average defense, that's not going to be good enough. So, the biggest factor in this matchup, Duke transfer Jordan Tucker is eligible to play this weekend against Indiana. If you're Laval Jordan, do you start Tucker?
I'm honestly going to have to say yes. I know that's kind of a hot take, but I think if he fills the role that Paul's been kind of in, where he can be more of a power forward almost. I mean, we only have Nate Fowler that has height, so a 6'7" person even on the court is going to be another presence. While we haven't really seen him at all play in a college game, I just think he's going to be kind of a spark on the team, and obviously IU's going to look to him, and that's opening up 4 other positions on the court.
You know, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think there's a player that's in Butler's starting lineup right now that deserves to be taken out of the lineup that would make sense. You can't take Nate Fowler out of the starting lineup and replace him with Jordan Tucker. You just don't have the size. You can't keep Kamar. You can't take Kamar out, obviously. Aaron Thompson plays way too good a defense to take him out, and he takes some of the on-ball pressure off of Kamar, lets him play off the ball offensively. And Paul and Sean, they're both shooting over 40% from the three-point line, and if he's going to replace somebody, that's who he's going to replace. Now, if he comes out firing and in a month he's playing better than one of those two guys, then fine, you can put him in the starting lineup. But as of right now, and the fact that he would add a dimension scoring in the second unit, I think it makes the most sense to bring him in off the bench rather than starting him.
I completely agree with Josh. I think that aside from all the stats and how well people are playing, I think there's something big with team chemistry. Obviously, these guys have been playing together for a while with, you know, Paul, Sean, Kamar, Aaron, Joey, Nate, who have you. I think they've been playing together for a while, and sure, Jordan's been practicing with the team, but playing in a game is completely different than playing in practice. And I think having that team chemistry is something really big and that you have to have with your other teammates if you're starting in a game. And I just don't think that Jordan has that experience yet with the team. So like Josh said, maybe a few months down the road, a few games, maybe then he will start. But as of for right now in the Crossroads Classic, I do not think so.
Sam, you touched a little on team chemistry, but again, if you're Laval Jordan, what type of message is it sending to Paul or to Sean if you're replacing, you know, both of them have been playing very well this semester. If you're replacing one of them with Jordan Tucker, who has played 14 minutes in college basketball?
I mean, if I were them, I would take it a little personal. It's, you know, you're playing some of your best basketball. Like Josh said, you're shooting over 40% from beyond the arc. And you get replaced by a player who hasn't really played a whole lot in college basketball yet. So if I'm Paul or Sean, I'm working hard. I'm really putting up extra shots in practice, and I'm showing Coach Jordan why I deserve to be on that court, because, you know, that's their spot, that's their team. And, I mean, of course it's Jordan's team as well. I'm not trying to ostracize them from the team or anything, but they deserve to be in the starting lineup over Jordan, and if I were them too, I would be putting in extra hours and extra shots up at the gym.
But those two weren't transferred from Duke. I mean, Jordan Tucker obviously came from Duke he went to Duke for a reason. Coach K saw something spectacular in him. Yeah, he played 14 minutes, but it's still Duke. Like, we've seen Duke be the #1 team in the country many times. I just don't think that Sean and Paul would ever even step foot in the court on a Duke team. Like, it's just not the same caliber at all.
Well, they're not playing for a Duke team. The difference is that they're playing into a Butler system with the Butler coach. They're not playing under Coach K. And yeah, Jordan went to Duke, but he also left Duke for a reason as well. So they're playing in a Butler system, which, you know, Paul and Sean play into very well, as we could see from this season and prior seasons. So You know, sure Jordan went to Duke. Sure he's a high recruit, but these guys know how to play in the system and they know how to play with the team.
We're gonna wrap up this round. Sam, this one's for you. Olivia, Sam, both win 1 point. Josh, gotta catch up here. Here's your shot. Venturing outside the Butler bubble, the college football playoff is set, and number 1 Alabama will take on number 4 Oklahoma, while number 2 Clemson faces third-ranked Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on the standings, and did the committee miss any teams?
Well, I went first twice, and I've lost the first 2 rounds, so I refuse to go first this time.
I'll go first this time. I think that the committee got it wrong. I do not believe that Notre Dame should be in this tournament. They should not be a top 4 team for many reasons. And my big reason is being they didn't play in a conference championship game this year. They don't affiliate with any team. They're independent so that they can make more money based off their own revenue. Come on, Notre Dame, you got to figure it out here. If you move into the ACC, you would have been absolutely blown out by Clemson, but this time we just have to wait for it. Clemson is not only my pick, but Clemson is going to absolutely destroy Notre Dame. They're going to destroy Bama or Oklahoma, whoever they have. I also think that Notre Dame should be out of the top 4 and Georgia should be in. I think Georgia would be a great 3 or 4 seed in this tournament. They're an incredible SEC team. They have a great defense, a great offense, and they gave Bama a clear run for their money. But with that being said, Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback right now. He is sunshine. He has the hair. He has the demeanor. And he's a freshman. The kid has it all. He has the arm power. He has the accuracy. This kid is going to be a first-round, first-draft pick in a few years down the road. I guarantee it. Watch out for Trevor Lawrence and watch out for Clemson this year.
I'm really happy for you, Sam, that you love Trevor Lawrence so much. But, I mean, that's not really the question here. The question is, did they get it right? No, if their job really is to get the 4 best teams into the college football playoff, you can't say that Georgia's not one of the 4 best teams when they lead Alabama. They were the better team against Alabama for 3.5 quarters and then just lost it at the end. I disagree with you that Notre Dame shouldn't be in here. They're undefeated team. They have multiple top 25 wins. If you're the committee, it's really hard not to put them in. But I also see where they're coming from in the fact that it's really hard to put a 2-loss team that doesn't have a conference championship over a team like Oklahoma who has 1 loss over a team that is better than one of the losses that Georgia had, and they won the Big 12 championship. I'm not saying I necessarily agree that they got the right 4 teams, but their thought process seems to be fairly logical.
I guess where I kind of have a disagreement with the committee is that last year UCF was undefeated and now Notre Dame's undefeated, but we see Notre Dame in the playoffs. So is it kind of saying that if you're undefeated, you should be in the playoffs? Or?
UCF doesn't play anybody.
UCF is horrible. They're going to get blown
Okay, but
out
I'm
of
just
the water
saying,
by LSU.
As a fan of college football, is it that you're undefeated or is that you're like playing good teams? Because I think Georgia should be in, but because Notre Dame is undefeated, that they're in. So
it's just a matter of the situation that the committee it's the politically correct 4 teams, and that's whether we want to believe it or not. Like that's really what it's about. Like it makes the most sense to a lot of people for these 4 teams to be in, and it makes sense for UCF to not be because they didn't play anybody. Like that's in every level of college sports. That's always the argument. Well, they haven't played anybody. UCF hasn't played anybody. Now, do I disagree? Do I think that UCF should probably get a chance after 2 years of not losing a football game? Yeah, that's probably fair. But it's a politically correct 4 teams that nobody is going to have huge problems with.
I just think the committee should pick 8 teams. I mean, 4 teams, there's so much disagreement. There's so many different things that can happen that if they just go to 8 teams, that it's going to be a little bit more give and take of who can be 1 through 8.
Josh, you won this round as soon as you said politically correct 4 teams. We're inching closer to the Super Bowl heading into Week 15 this weekend. Playoff seeds are nearly set. Who do you have winning it all this year?
I'll start this one off. Asked me this a few weeks ago, and it probably would have been a different answer, but I'm going to have to go with the Patriots. They're my team. I believe in them. I believe in Tom Brady. I believe in Bill. The loss to Miami was kind of heartbreaking. But again, I mean, it was the last play. Everyone expected them to just throw it downfield. That's why Gronk was there. To just kind of lose by one, I mean, I don't see why that's that big of a problem. The Patriots beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bears. I really think that when Tom steps into the playoff role, that there's no stopping him this year. I mean, he's going to go out with a bang. It's probably the last year for Tom, Gronk, and Bill all together. So there's no way that they're going to lose and that they're going to want to go out just losing and saying that they did not win another Super Bowl.
I'm actually going to agree with you that the Patriots will be the team that represents the AFC, but they will not win the Super Bowl. It's going to be the Saints. The Rams are a year away. Jared Goff is still a year away in being that quarterback in the postseason. Give me Drew Brees over anybody in the NFC. The last time they won a Super Bowl, they didn't play outside the entire time. If they end the season the way they should, they're going to play all their games at home, and then they're going to go to Atlanta and play inside again. And with an offense as powerful as that one is, led by Drew Brees, when you give them controlled climates, you're going to have a hard time stopping them. That duo of indoors, Drew Brees, I think it's the Saints for me.
I think if it is going to be that matchup, it's definitely going to be a game of defenses. Obviously, both strong offenses, but the defense on both teams is kind of iffy. So I definitely think if it is going to be those two teams, it's going to come down to defense.
You want to talk about defenses? I can talk about defenses for you. Listen, the Chicago Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. Buckle up and bear down, because Khalil Mack is an absolute freak of nature. Khalil Mack is the absolute, undoubted best player on the defensive end of the NFL. I personally think that Khalil Mack transitioned this Bears defense and the team as a whole. Mitchell Super Biscuits is playing great football right now. He has 20 touchdowns, he has 2,500 yards, and he's been injured for a few games. So, I mean, with Mitchell playing well, with the backfield that the Bears have, Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard, with the defense, I think that the Bears are a very unstoppable team. They proved just how good that they were by beating the Rams. I mean, the Rams weren't even close. Jared Goff is a Sunshine State kid. He can't play in cold weather. We all know that.
But he
He's
won't
not
have to
very
play
good.
in cold weather. He's going to play in LA the entire time.
But he's not going to be in the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter. So the Chicago Bears, a 6-inch tall Mike Ditka could beat the LA Rams. And I think that the Bears are going to go all the way. They could beat the Patriots if they meet them. They could beat the Saints if they meet them.
But the Patriots already beat them. Patriots beat them already.
They beat them early in the season before they
It was
figured out
midway
who
in the
they
season.
were. The Bears now know who they are, and the Bears are the undoubted best team in the NFL right now.
Sam, you won over a very pessimistic Bears fan, and for that you get a point.
What?
Here's a look at our standings currently
That is-
for the final question. The NBA is in full swing, which gives us a chance to evaluate what do you think of the league this year and which teams need to step it up.
It's got to be the Houston Rockets. What is going on with the Houston Rockets? Now, first of all, this is not the same team from last year. They gave up very important defensive pieces and picked up Carmelo Anthony. That dude is by definition, a loser, and I promise you that just having him on the roster means bad things for your team. But a roster that boasts both James Harden and Chris Paul should never be 14th in the West, which is where they stand as of right now. 11 and 14, are you serious? There are not 13 better teams in the West than the Rockets. They're just, I refuse to believe that this is really what this team is capable of. In terms of a team that needs to step it up to where they're probably really capable of, the Rockets are it, and I really don't think there's another team that even competes with that.
See, for me, I was going to choose the Rockets, but I think that a team that really needs to step it up is the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that with the addition of Jimmy Butler, they should be doing a lot better than they really are. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, I mean, even Markelle Fultz, everyone should be playing a lot better than they are right now. They should be up towards the top of the East, but they're really not. We're not seeing that team
They're
chemistry.
third in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah, but they should be number one.
Game back of number 2.
One more time, I didn't hear you.
Game back of number 2.
Yeah, but I feel like that they should be number one in the East. I feel like that
The whole East
they
is
should
playing
really
bad.
be taking away. I feel like they should really be pulling ahead of everyone else. And they're just not doing that so far yet. They're kind of one of the super teams in the East, and I feel like that if they're really going to, show themselves and display themselves as a super team, they have to kind of play like it and play better than they are.
I'm going to go more on the positive side. I'm going to talk about a team that actually did step up. So in the beginning of the season, the Raptors picked up Kawhi Leonard, and everyone kind of thought it was going to be a problem. Kawhi didn't want to go to Canada, but actually this season has been one of their best seasons so far. They're first in the East. They really look unstoppable. I mean, Kawhi's fitting into that program just perfectly. There's nothing even wrong with the team. They're shooting well. They're finally playing defense. They're not just shooting up threes and hoping for the best. I really think that the Raptors can give every team in the East a run for their money. And then looking into the West, I think that they can even beat most of the teams out West, too.
That wraps up our final round. Sam, you've got this one. Congratulations
Wow.
on winning our first
hard
ever
work.
Beyond the Arc segment. And as a reward, you get 30 seconds on the spotlight to talk about anything you want.
Let's see here. Oh, I got something. So I have a little bit of a bone to pick with ESPN's Instagram page. ESPN, I have noticed that in the past 2 days, you have posted 12 times about LeBron James. I have also noticed that in the past month, you haven't posted once about hockey. Anything to do with hockey, the NHL or any single branch of hockey. So I'm just wondering, ESPN, what is going on? You can find me anywhere. My Instagram is sphif, SPHIF. Please, you can tag me, find me anywhere. I just want to know what's going on because LeBron, it's too much.
ESPN, Sam is looking out for you. I'm picking up on a theme of this show. So far, we've heard from Jordan Tucker and Whitney Jennings, both of them coincidentally transfers from other schools. And we're adding one more to that list today. Women's basketball Naira Caceres is making her season debut after transferring from Maine in 2017. So far, the Spain native has done a little bit of everything for the team, averaging 19 minutes a game. Drew Favica has more.
I'm here with Naira Caceres, new addition to the Butler women's basketball team. I'm Drew Favica. Naira, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Nice meeting with you. So, this is your first year, obviously, at Butler. What addition do you add to the team?
I consider myself a player who can play different positions. I can go into as a three, as a guard, as shooting guard, and I can also go inside and try to post other players. So I feel like depending on which team we're playing and also what the team needs from me on different occasions, I can help my team on very different ways.
So you talked to me about how Coach G stresses that this is a team game. So in what ways, especially before the game, has Coach G stressed that exactly?
Well, we have 7 different goals that we try to accomplish every game, and it doesn't go through individual stats. It goes on team stats. So we try to accomplish those every game, and it's on us. It doesn't depend on how the other team is performing. It's always depends on our effort and how bad we want to win.
Drew, you've covered the women's basketball team for the Butler Collegian. What have you seen from the team so far?
Well, this team's a lot of fun. I really like their depth. Obviously, those 3 transfers have added a lot. Catherine Strong, Ashanti Thomas, Naira Caceres. Tori Schickel and Michelle Weaver have been very consistent. What worries me most, though, is the inconsistency coming from Whitney Jennings. I think she should maybe take less shots and share the wealth a little bit.
Moving right along, men's basketball news, strength and conditioning coach Matt Johnson calls himself the team's biggest cheerleader. He's also the reason why players were doing beach workouts in the Bahamas and the person you can thank for coming up with the hashtag Hungry Dogs. Chelsea Groves is with Matt Johnson now.
Thanks, guys. Matt, it's great to have you here. You spent 6 years at George Washington. You worked with several programs there, but now a new position at Butler. You work with just the men's basketball team. What does your day look like here?
Yeah, so days are typically started at my computer, scheduling all the workouts. On a daily basis, we'll typically have anywhere from 1 to 3 workouts. Today's a really important day, big game on Saturday, as you know. So we'll have a couple groups rolling in before practice. We have a 4 p.m. practice today. So other than that, just mixing shakes, protein shakes, putting the powder in, filling those up, vitamins, all that. And then my weekly trips to Costco to fill up the refrigerator for the guys in the locker room as well.
Costco is a great place. So when you are here working with the team, you've implemented technology, nutrition. How has that impacted this program?
Yeah, I think the technology is key, just to see how hard the guys are pushing, how hard they're working in practice. All of our guys, they wear a GPS monitor, which tells me how many miles they're running. Some guys more, some guys less, and that will really help us with what recovery strategies we do post practice. And yeah, I mean the nutrition piece is key as well. We have a app which the guys will report what they eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's really key in terms of what they're putting in their body. So they're working towards their body composition goals that way.
And with all the hard work you guys have put in this season, a big one on Saturday, Indiana, a great game every time this matchup happens. Are you confident in this team?
Yeah, I'm confident. I think proper planning prevents poor performance. And, these guys every day, we're preparing for the big games, and that's what we work hard for. So I'm really excited to get them out there and see what we can do.
Matt, thanks for your time. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. If you've ever wanted to play hockey in college, now might be your chance. Press Pass reporter Sam Pfeiffer was on the ice with the Butler Club hockey team, and they're looking for more players.
After a rocky start, Butler Club Hockey is looking to turn around their season at the halfway point.
This season so far has been kind of disappointing. We've lost a few games that we definitely should have won. Just coming out kind of slow against U of I and Miami, Ohio. But the second half of the season, we're hoping to come out with a couple of wins against Ball State and Wright State, and kind of turn around this whole season.
Started off a little bit rough compared to last year. I know last year we started out, I think we were like 5-0 to start, so a real strong start last year. This year has been a bit different. This year our scheduling, we ended up playing some of the better teams earlier this semester, so we've had a tough time against those teams. But I'm looking forward to next semester and starting out strong with next semester.
Butler Club Hockey will be facing new problems off the ice as they start looking into next season and hopefully many more after that.
One of the big hopes for next season is to have enough guys, actually. We have pretty low numbers this year, so we're hoping that some of the guys from this year actually stick around and play. And then we're also hoping that we get a good recruiting class so we can bring in a few prospects as well.
This year our roster is a little bit short. That's been one of our biggest weaknesses this year, our numbers. So next year we're going to look to get a full 20-man roster and some more goalies too, so that I could have some more support in there.
Thanks, Sam. I always wanted to be a good hockey player like those guys. The problem was that I hated the preparation. My hands were freezing cold, so I didn't want to tie my shoes. And the helmet was way too heavy.
Hang on. They're skates, not shoes.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
so
skates. Yeah, so the shoulder pads were the worst of all. These dang things never stayed on. The fact that I called the skates shoes just shows how much I know about skating at all. So yeah, the pre-skating really cramped my style, so I quit after 1 year, and that was in 3rd grade.
What could have been. For this week's Coaches segment, Press Pass reporter Colin Perry is sitting with the head coach of the men's basketball team, Laval Jordan.
Thanks, Dana. Coach Jordan has been part of the Butler community for over 20 years. Here's his journey from player to coach of the Bulldogs.
Coach Jordan started at Butler in 1998. He helped lead the Bulldogs to 3 straight MCC conference titles and an NCAA tournament win over Wake Forest in 2001. After playing a few years in the D-League, Jordan returned as an assistant to Todd Licklider in 2003 and helped coach A.J. Graves and others to a Sweet 16 appearance in 2007. After following Licklider to Iowa from 2007 to 2010, Jordan was an assistant to John Beeline's Michigan teams from 2010 to 2016. This included a run to the NCAA Final Four in 2013. Jordan got his head coaching debut with Milwaukee in 2016, which included a trip to the Horizon League Championship game. He became the head coach of the Bulldogs in 2017 and led them to an upset over number 1 Villanova and an NCAA tournament win over Arkansas. This year's team is currently 7-2 and is on a 2-game win streak following a win over Northern Illinois 95-68 on Saturday.
And thanks for joining us in studio today, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so you're coming off a rough loss to St. Louis, but then your team bounced back, had a dominating performance over Northern Illinois. Kind of what was that message after the rough loss on the road? And the team's obviously performed great since then.
Yeah, I think it was just cleaning up a few things execution-wise. We came out of the St. Louis game and we defended well enough, but then offensively didn't execute like we could have, and so worked on a lot of that in practice. And
I think Brown, we were a little bit better, and then Northern Illinois, we made a ton of shots, so everything looks better. But we did execute pretty well.
You talk about Kamar Baldwin filling in the role for Keelan Martin this season. How has he stepped into that role? Obviously, he's been performing great, 16 points a game, 6 rebounds, which I think rebounds stand out, especially for a guard as young as he is.
Yeah, it's a big part of what we need him to do for our team is to go rebound the basketball. Kamar Baldwin, first and foremost, he's a great young man. He's a great person. And so he cares about winning. He cares about his teammates more than anything else. And whatever you ask him to do, he's willing to do it. And it speaks to his upbringing, his parents, and he's a talented player. Right now there's an adjustment with defenses focusing in on him and building their scout and their game plan around him, and he's willing to share the ball. And so his assist numbers are higher than they've ever been, and obviously he can score, and he's rebounding. And then on the other end, he's impactful because he likes to play defense. He's got a passion for the defensive end of the court.
And that also opens up other areas like Joey Brunk. I know he's a fan favorite. In just his sophomore season, he's seen a lot of playing time. Do we expect him to keep playing kind of over Nate, or do we expect Nate to kind of step it up and possibly, take his role back?
Well, I think they're different. They both bring value to the table just in different ways. Nate's a veteran. Defensively, he's reliable, and he's done a tremendous job just anchoring our defense, and then he can pass the basketball. So you look at the last game against Northern Illinois, he had 5 assists and only 1 turnover. He's third on our team in assists for a center. That's really good. And Joey's different. He's got this energy about him. He's finishing at an extremely high rate offensively, 80+% from the field right now, and he goes to the offensive glass, and so they bring something different to the table, and it's good to have them both mix in there and throw something different at the opposing teams.
Jordan Tucker, his first game at eligible is IU this Saturday. What do you kind of expect his role to be? Obviously, he hasn't really played in any collegiate games, but he's got a chance now to make a big impact for this Butler Ball Club.
Yeah, I think, we'll see. I think, he's excited about being eligible to play again. It's been a long time since he was eligible to play in a college basketball game, and he played very limited minutes when he was at Duke, and so he's been practicing, really well, and just trying to integrate himself into our offense because he's doing a lot of the scout team, offense and defense in practice, and so just trying to make sure he has the Butler offense and our defensive habits down pat, and then I think he's willing to jump in there whenever we need him and be utilized however we choose to do it.
You got the big rivalry game with IU coming up Saturday. What has to go right for your team to come out on top?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're a really good team. I think they've got some pieces. Their young guys play beyond their years. Archie Miller's he's a really good coach. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think we have to guard him without putting him on the foul line. That's a big deal and it's not something we've been great at this season. Is keeping people off the line, and then take care of the basketball. They're forcing 15+ turnovers a game, and we aren't turning it over as much. And so if we do that, we'll get shots, and hopefully we have another night like Northern Illinois where we're making a ton of them.
Yeah, that would definitely be great to watch. Thanks for joining us in studio today, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season.
Hey, thanks for having me. Go
Dana,
Dogs.
Oh, yeah, go Dogs. Dana, Drew, back to you.
Thanks, Colin. At the Press Pass, we always try to do our best to give you the most up-to-date news, but with today being our last show of the semester, our team was feeling a little nostalgic over the fall sports season. Press Pass reporter Jacob Markeski talked to freshman Katie Soderstrom and Amanda Rapiduski about what's next for the women's soccer team.
They definitely bring a lot to the team in regards to their skill, but not only just their skill, they're also very team-oriented. So a lot of their values and the sort of philosophy that we have on the team, it comes from them and the seniors. I learned so much just from how it's always about the team before the individual, and that was one thing they really enforced. So I mostly just
I feel like we had a lot of offensive freedom kind of in movement, and just we weren't really tied down to a position. They kind of let us roam and just wherever we felt necessary to go or to make a run, and I just felt really supported in everything. I always knew my teammates were going to support me and want me to take players on or take a shot or whatever, and yeah, the team was really supportive, which really helped.
Soderstrom and Rapiduski are looking to build on their success and enter next season as competitors in the Big East. Reporting for the Press Pass, I'm Jacob Markeski.
Thanks, Jacob. Wrapping up our show today, Sam Barish runs through the top Butler fall sports moments from this season.
Starting off the top 5, the Butler women's soccer team took on the number 20 Notre Dame Fighting Irish in an early season matchup and beat them in dominant fashion. With Paige Monahan leading the way with 2 goals, the Bulldogs won this important early season matchup by a final of 4-1. At number 4, we find Amanda Kozlowski's corner kick goal for Seton Hall. With just 30 minutes remaining in the first half, Kozlowski belted a roping corner kick that somehow found the goal unassisted. The goal put the Bulldogs up 3-0, which would eventually be the final score. Coming in at number 3, the Butler men's soccer team had a thrilling OT win versus Marshall. Tied late in the second half, the Dogs took a 3-2 lead on a goal scored by Eric Country. After giving up a tying goal at the end of regulation, however, the Dogs finally put away Marshall on an overtime goal scuttled by Brandon Gold. Number 2, we have freshman Anya Savage's debut with the Bulldogs versus Kent State. In the Dogs' first game of the season, Savage made herself known by scoring 2 goals in her first collegiate game. She finished off the impressive debut by earning Big East Freshman of the Week honors. And the number 1 fall sports moment here at Butler was the football team's upset of number 24 Youngstown State. Down 21-7 entering the fourth quarter, the Bulldogs did the improbable, putting together 2 touchdown drives to make the game 21-20. After a failed 2-point conversion, however, the Bulldogs recovered their onside kick to get one more chance at a field goal. The 44-yard field goal was good by Drew Bevelheimer, giving the Bulldogs what Sports Illustrated the magazine called one of the biggest upsets of the century. That's it for your top 5 Butler fall sports moments. Now back to the studio.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for following along this semester.
This has been the Press Pass. We have our credentials, and now you have yours.